Hello, welcome to this new episode of the Alex Show TV. And as you can see, we have a guest, and I'm very happy and honored to have Chris Harrison from Canada again on the show. Thank you, Chris, for being here for a second time.
Oh, thank you so much, Alex. Really glad you asked me back.
Thank you. And we're going to discuss such an interesting topic today because, as I was sharing before starting recording, after our first chat with most guests, we speak 5-10 minutes afterwards, and we started discussing about the loved one, the densities that you experience, for example, in this earth. First density, it's like being like a rock. Second density is being like a tiger, maybe, or a cat or a dog. Third density is being like a human. So you left me thinking a lot about how densities and dimensions are not mutually exclusive, but they maybe work one inside the other, and how the universe is so perfect in its design that we have dimensions, frequency levels that depend on that you are in the right place that you belong to be, and it's not a punishment, it's not a reward, it's just the place that you must be in order to experience what you need to experience. So it is very complicated stuff. I'm sorry, but I'm sure you're going to do a much better job in explaining that. Thanks.
Well, it's such an interesting topic, such an interesting thing to talk about. As I was saying to you before we started recording, it's when I started learning about it, it really helped me and gave me comfort in sort of once I accepted the premise, if you will, that I'm a non-physical being having a temporary physical experience, that my soul incarnates again and again and again, and I've had many. To understand sort of the path that a soul will go through to grow and the types of growth that they get in different densities of vibration. And before I even started, just to explain why the word densities is used, vibration is different frequencies. And so in a lower vibrational thing, a frequency of the wave, the waves of the vibration will be further apart. And then as the frequency increases, the waves get closer and closer and closer together. So in a really high frequency, they're going together. So they are denser, right? They are more packed together. There's more information, if you will, in those higher frequencies, the higher densities. And the way that I understand it, and most of this I've gotten from the Law of One material channeled by LL Research, llresearch.org, I think is the website, and they've had incredible channeled conversations with entities for 50 years, and so the way that I understand it now, our souls are eternal and infinite, but at some point we emerge from Creator as an individualized portion of consciousness. And we begin a journey of gaining experience for ourselves. I mean, it's in some ways, it's source growing through experience, through its various pieces. And the first level is in first density, as you said, it's like rocks, it's elementals. Wind, water, earth, and fire, where you are just learning to be. You are simply just experiencing beingness in these different forms and interactions with other, conscious beings, whatever, at a very sort of basic level. And these cycles, these are millions of years long, right? So you may be incarnated as, wind, in the Andromedan galaxy for, hundreds of thousands of years before you would kind of graduate to the second density. And yes, as you said, it's like second density is animal forms, but there's also sort of early second density is like plants, insects, and then you get into animals and things. And
just to clarify that the second density, yes, as you say, you can be a tomato.
Yeah,
you can be, because maybe they're relating the viewers, they're relating to movement or something, and maybe in second density you can be a tree.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, just wanted to clarify that, sorry.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you can, you could be just a tree and just experience that slow growth, of, and in second density, at every sort of stage of soul growth, you are on some level balancing acts of service to self versus service to others. Because throughout this process, as an individualized portion of consciousness, you are, understanding yourself as an individual. There's I'll forget his name, but there's a guy who had a near-death experience and describes this really, really well, that, when you're on the other side, you are so perfectly aligned with source in all of your thinking that it's virtually impossible to identify a personal thought because you're just so engrossed and enmeshed in source. So the only way we can sort of start identifying ourselves as me, the individual, is by, incarnating separately, sort of cutting off source, if you will. And so in second density, in those forms, you are, there's a blurring of service to self to service to others, because you identify yourself as part of if you're an insect, you're a part of the swarm, or if you are, let's say a dog or a cat, like you're part of the pack. And so whether you're helping yourself or helping the pack, those lessons kind of blur.
Are you aware of what you are in that stage? I'm sorry about the question.
I don't know how to, I'm not sure I can answer that completely. I mean, yes, I mean, I guess the best, Dolores Cannon actually has really great material about this. Dolores Cannon has written many, many, many books. She was a hypnotist and did past life regressions. And so people would, not only recount past lives as humans or ETs on other dimensions, but also as like second density, first density, incarnations. There was one incredible one where a person described their life as an ant. And it was a beautiful story. They were very happy as an ant. They had purpose, right? They knew what their purpose was. They knew that they were the ones going out to forage, for the food and bring it back to the family, which gave them, pride and satisfaction. She had them go to a significant day in the ant's life, and they described a story of they were going back to the nest with whatever they had. And the nest had been in a hollowed out old log in a stream. And some rain had come along and washed the log down the stream. So the ant goes back to where its home was, and the home's gone. And so it becomes very afraid and doesn't know what to do. And it contemplates, do I wait here for my family? Do I go looking for the home? And so it decides to go look for the home. And it follows the path of the stream because it knows that it would flow the path of the stream. It finds it, but then their family isn't there. Their family and friends aren't there. There's a couple of other ants, and then they realized, okay, well, I found it now. I know that the rest of my family, they're going to be where the home used to be. So went back to where it used to be. Sure enough, found more of their family and friends, and they were able to lead them back to their home. And so and they were shown this life in the regression to remind them of the value of community and working together and in different forms. And so again, second density would be millions of years long, that you would be having, incarnations in all kinds of forms like this. And then when you graduate from second density into third density, which is where we are essentially here, that's where you are, self-aware higher animal forms, self-aware, human-like forms. On other planets, they've been, reptilian type forms or insectoid, different types but essentially complex animal forms that become self-aware. And in this form, we are more separated in service to self versus service to others. Like we are more individual, and so there's we learn a balance of them, but ultimately, in third density, there reaches a point where the vibration rises high enough that it causes a polarization, and you are I don't want to say forced to, you are led to make a choice of which polarity do you resonate with. Do you resonate with the service to others, or do you resonate with the service to self? And both paths are valid.
Yes.
The service to self path is actually like more difficult. In order to do that, you essentially have to disconnect your heart chakra, so that you aren't overwhelmed with
Empathy.
with feelings of guilt for doing things that are horrendously selfish. And then in deciding your path, both paths lead to an awakening to the God within, where you go into this form, and also in this third density, you are veiled from knowing what you are. When you incarnate with amnesia, so you don't remember you're a piece of source. And so in essence, you are, without being biased, choosing the light or the dark. And at a certain point, like you wake up to the oneness of all things, in whatever way you think of it, and you awaken to the God within, right? You go from thinking, oh, this is all that is, to, oh wow, I exist beyond this form. I'm more than this. There is more to life than just this limitation. And so the graduation from third density, this is where it becomes polarized, right? Where there's a fourth density positive path, or a fourth density negative path. And then there's fifth density, and then sixth density. And I think at seventh density is when you start, those incarnations start being back in non-physical forms, energetic forms, not physical forms.
You lose the body, right?
Yeah, exactly. You lose the body. So in sixth density, somewhere between sixth and seventh density, you cease being polarized again, and the polarities come back together, and in a harmonious way. Let's see.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm gonna
Yes,
say
please.
a couple of things. First of all, when you were sharing the ant story, I was just think about it, how we're with nature. I mean, maybe a kid that is playing out there throws water into an ant community, ant hole, maybe I forgot the name in English.
Like an
or some even put them on fire just to play and laugh about it. And just imagine sharing this ant story. That is like we see it in the movies or the cartoons. It's like they have a family and they're going through it. And I don't think we dimension how we are with nature, I think. I understand, first of all, I understand that there's a food chain and we have to eat. What I've said for a long while in my channel is I wish we will be eaten as well, at least on death. So my opinion is, why cremation? Why putting bodies in caskets? Throw them to the sea, give them to, so we can also be part of this food chain, okay?
Yes, everything dies, and yeah.
Yes, because it is what it is. Some people say, what one person put a comment out there in my channel like a month ago, because I was talking about how the love of the creator is infinite and without conditions. And he says, sure, beautiful creator that he allows animals to be eaten. It's part of the process. How do you know that, if we will understand it differently, we should be eaten as well as part of this experience? It's the part. That's why I ask, are they conscious? Because I think being conscious of what you are, and if then you go with the service to self, you build firewalls for yourself and say, hey, sure, I'm gonna eat others, but I'm not gonna allow others to eat me. Okay, so yeah, very deep stuff. That's one of the things I was feeling, that I think we need to be so much better to nature. And I think as we increase this frequency and we go into this fourth density and everything, we're gonna find ways. I'm a firm believer we can get our energy needs, because eating and drinking is energy needs at the end. eating something, you transform it to energy, calories or whatever. You have
Yes.
an energy transformation system, your digestive system. So we could get our energy needs, for example, from the environment, from the sun, so we will put less
Yes.
impact on nature to feed us and allow it. Because again, I'm not anti-human, but if humans will leave Earth, nature will be fine.
Yes. Yes.
Nature will be fine. Okay. So that's something I felt when you were sharing the ant story and going back, and that we sometimes, for example, bees, people that are afraid of bees or just hate bees. Why?
Yeah.
When you allow a bee to touch you, it's beautiful. It's not gonna sting you, please. It only stings you if it's afraid you're gonna do something.
Right. 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 Right.
So nature we'll have a subject on nature in a future chat, I'm sure, because
Yes.
nature is such an important subject that we need to change in that.
And we are deeply tied to nature too.
Yes, we are.
We are, there are aspects of Gaia, of the soul of the earth, that are woven into each one of our souls. Each one of us has that. It's our souls are a soup. It's a collection of energies and things. And yeah, the earth is intricately part of us. And the more that people understand that, and of course, there are lots of people who are very, very, very attuned to Earth.
Yes, there are. The way you were explaining your path as a soul and going into the choosing of service to others, service to self, the way I see it in a more simple analogy is like we're pieces of a puzzle, and then we go and have experiences like this little piece, okay? And we go and have experiences. But what I feel, Chris, is that we want to go back to the puzzle. We want to go back to the everything. We want to go back to creation. And at the end, I think that's the lesson. Okay, it is very personal for me that at the end we go through these experiences, we discover that of course is service to others, because that's servicing creation. Okay.
Yes.
And then what we want is we're going to eventually keep going through these densities. I also heard that the seventh density is not that we lose the body, but body becomes optional.
Yes.
That you can have it or not. I believe is the eighth one, that body, there's no body. It's impossible to, but it's similar stuff. I mean, there are so many versions of that. And I think when we go, there's going to be a moment that we really just want to go back to creation. We really just want to go back to creation. And I'm not sure if the same gentleman you're talking about is the one, but Peter Panagor has been on my show, and he's actually coming. We're going to record in a few days, so he's coming after you. And I believe that the other time was also very close to you, or maybe a couple of episodes. And Peter had two near-death experiences. One when he was very young in a mountain, and then he had a heart attack a little bit older. And beautiful experience. And when he talks about going in front of the omnipresence of the everything, and he says, you see all your lives. And he went into one and he was a human in the Middle East or something, but he went into another, he was a lizard. So it validates what you're saying. He was a lizard, second density experience, okay?
Yeah.
And just to so you can keep going, just the only thing I wanted to say is, how about in the first density, one of the other teachings maybe is learning to be still, learning not to have control. Because if you are a rock, just imagine just being a rock out there. And I don't know if you see or not, what you experience, I don't know. But let's assume you see and hear, and just being there, and then someone kicks you, or maybe there's rain and you don't know where you're going, and trying to experience that.
Yes.
I think there's a reason for that, okay, that we go through those experiences. So yes, sorry
absolutely.
about that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and you're right. Yeah, you're learning stillness, and you have no loss of control, where you're just just pure beingness. There's so many, like, when you start thinking about it like this, and sort of seeing those experiences on that level of learning, it even starts making sense for why you would choose to have really challenging experiences, just because, again, in some levels, you're like people will say, like, why do people fight? Why would you go through terrible things? But in our natural state, we are eternal, right? We are infinite and eternal. We do not fear death because we can't be destroyed. And so coming into an experience like this where you're veiled, and where you can viscerally have fear of death, that is amazing, to be like a non-physical being in a physical form and knowing what it's like to be terrified that you are going to, go out of existence. You can't have that experience unless you're veiled, and and things like, and of course there is this, this the service to self thing, actions, and lessons, if you will. They're not wrong. It's because there's a balance of them, because you are also learning how to be a sovereign creator being. And especially once you wake up to a better understanding of how this existence, works, where we are in essence in a 360-degree hall of mirrors, and we hold a particular vibration and we send that out, and it is reflected back. And so if we are in balance and peaceful, that goes out and reflected back to us as balance and peace, right? If we are agitated and in disbalance, and and we send that energy out, well, it comes back to us, where we're going to get all that imbalance, coming back to us. If we are focused on lack, the universe will give us more lack, because that's what we're putting our attention and energy into, right? We attract, what we seek, essentially. And I mean, it's, for me, it's also one of the interesting ways that I, since my Kundalini experience and the stuff that I've been experiencing, the change over day by day is very subtle. But over time, there are things that just no longer resonate with me. Habits and things that used to bring me joy or whatever. Now it's like, oh no, that just doesn't resonate with me. It's because I've shifted higher, and I'm looking for experiences that resonate with me on that level, right? So just very, very naturally, I spend less time in front of a screen. I spend more time out, walking through nature, and that kind of stuff. And that's, just slowly, experiencing this gradual sort of rising, which also brings a bit of a detachment, from the things that are going on that might be disturbing, and things that it's, if I can choose to, kind of pull myself into it and engage with those things and kind of, get sucked more into it, right? This reality that we live in is, we are literally mesmerized by our five senses to believe in the sort of the tangibleness of the reality. But there's if you're able to sort of detach from it, it stops to have the same, emotional, pull, and it's easier to sort of keep myself in balance, if you will, because I can kind of, the things that are going, unbalanced. And we're seeing this, we're seeing these two paths right now on the planet very clearly, right? You can see the division in all kinds of ways. You can see there's the people who are compassionate, show themselves more and more, but the people who are selfish and cruel also show themselves more and more. Anyway, I got a bit off on a tangent with that, but
no. It's fascinating stuff, because I agree completely with you. Maybe it's a different way of explaining it, but the way I see it is, I believe there's something going on. There's so many. I don't want to go into the New Age, because I'm not New Age, by the way, not at all. And I don't believe this kind of stuff is. I think New Age is kind of a religion of what's going on, and so I say I have no attachment to that. My only attachment is to my Creator, and in a way, there's something going on. There's something going on. I think there's a rise in frequency, let's call it like that. And I think what's happening is some people are, and it's not good or bad, by the way. Doesn't mean you're right and wrong. It's just different experiences. One are accepting it, and they're having this experience like you're explaining. They're detaching from things, TV, news, fear, being in constant fear. They say, well, why should I be afraid? No, So they start being like that. And by the way, other things happen. I had a friend that she was in a meat restaurant, and then she ate meat regularly, and then she suddenly couldn't take it. That's a vibrational thing. That's a frequency
Yes.
thing. That suddenly she couldn't vibrate with that.
Yes.
Does it mean it's wrong to eat meat? No, it means that she left meat behind. Let's call it like that.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
perfect when it happens like that. When you force it through the brain by saying, "Oh, animals suffer, plants suffer as well." We just spoke about it. If you cut a tomato, if you cut, whatever, strawberries, they suffer as well. It's just you don't hear it, you don't see them moving. It's a different thing. It's perception, as you say, through the senses.
Yeah.
And I think that's one portion. And another portion, I think, is happening to them as well. But they are afraid. They are polarizing. Is that what is happening to me? I'm not like this. Okay. I don't want to think about nature. I don't want the best for the world. I don't want the best for the universe. It's about me. It's about, so they polarize. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a polarization going on. And I'm not saying we're all going to be service to others, but I think some are just going to take the long way, and some are going to take a long way, scenic way, and some are going to take the high expressway. So that's why I say we live in a very great moment of planet Earth, because this is happening. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know if in this experience, in this persona that I have right now, I'm going to see it. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm sure it's going to happen. I'm totally sure this is happening. Some say if they put labels to it, the fifth dimension, stuff like that. But I just say that we are going to go to a place that it's just going to be we're going to understand many things. And the other thing I wanted to comment on was on the veil. I do believe the veil is necessary, but I also believe that the veil will be broken, and that's what you have experienced, I have experienced, many have experienced, that we have this need to know what we are, and we go and discover things on the veil, okay? Some have said that if you try to discover, for example, past memories and stuff like that, you could go crazy and that. I say, depends on the person.
Yes.
If you have no interest on that, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it for fun or, wow, I have curiosity to know what I've been. No, do it if you really feel it. For me, I wouldn't have it any other way. It gives me so much peace to understand what I am, and to understand that I'm just a piece of the puzzle, and that this notion that there's higher beings and we're lower beings and all of that is just it doesn't work that way. Okay. We're all just in a process, and we're all in a way right. There is no right or wrong. We're all gonna get to the same place. Some are gonna take longer, some are gonna get there faster. It's really just a different way.
Exactly. We're all on the same path, and all of the paths are leading back to source at the end of the journey. And exactly, we're on different places along that path. And yeah, I mean, it's like every person, every soul who will graduate, let's say from third into fourth, there's nothing better. They're not better than the ones who don't, because it's just those ones who don't are just not ready. And the ones who are, even if you're graduating on the service to others path, well, those people have also had many, many, many incarnations where they've explored service to self, right? It's only once you've sort of explored that fully to your own satisfaction that you then move on to, the service to others pathway. And also, for the people who are, for those people who are struggling, or, haven't decided decisively, one of the things that's, I mean, this is a completely natural process that everyone is going through to whatever extent that they allow it. The planet is being bombarded with a tsunami of subtle energies that are, and lifting the vibration if you allow it. But in order to rise into higher vibrations, you have to rise out of lower vibrations, and you have to let go of things that will keep you in those lower vibrations, and letting go of stuff can be very, very, very hard. Even letting go of habits that are destructive to yourself can be very hard to let go of. It's because it is familiar, it is comforting, and so some people, will still be not willing or not ready to let those things go, and again, nothing wrong with that. It's whatever's right for them at their path. It just means that once this planet makes the shift, once this planet actually shifts to be the fourth density, positive polarity planet that it will be, those souls will have to incarnate on a different planet. There will be another planet that will have the veil, that will be, similar sort of form, and they will go in and they will do, a new 75,000 year cycle on that planet, to go from third density into fourth.
Have you heard on Dolores Cannon split reality?
Oh yeah,
yes. That here on Earth, it's a theory, okay? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. That here on Earth, there's going to be the two realities, okay,
yes,
together, just in kind of different levels, dimensions, or something like that.
There's a fellow who has an NDE guy, I think is Vince something. I can't quite exactly remember, but I'll see if I can find it and send it to you later. You might want to have him on your show.
Thank you.
He had a fantastic. He was shown in his NDE a future reality where there was it was after some cataclysms and things. The population was significantly lower, but the shift had already occurred, and so he was shown groups of people who were living in the higher frequency. And there were groups living in the lower frequency. The ones living in the lower frequency could not see the ones in the higher frequency. They could be standing 10, 15 feet away from them, wouldn't see them. And he was shown that the ones who, or at least some of the ones who were in the higher frequency, were able to go back and forth for a period, where they had a device that they could use to go down to the lower. Anyway, I'll send you his name. I'll see if I can find it, because he'd be a great guest.
Thank you. That's what I heard. Also, in a general way, I've heard that if you elect to, you can go to lower realities. Okay, I'm not sure why you will want to do that, but apparently that's something that can be done. However, to jump a reality, that's not possible, and that's again the firewall.
Yeah,
and they say some people that are confused, kind of the ones that control this world. They want beings, entities, or something to jump into this reality. That's why they have their nice machines out there in Switzerland doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that's what I heard. It's a theory that they are trying to make a jump in realities, to bring to this reality right now on Earth beings that are not very, I don't want to use the word benevolent or not, just confused is the word I use, involuted, right, or something like that. They have different agendas, okay? So you said something for me very, very important, and it's like TV for me. I'm talking news and stuff like that. I still watch sport events. I enjoy it, but I watch it in a neutral perspective. I don't give them my energy anymore. I don't get upset if my team doesn't win. I don't, stuff like that. I watch it and I enjoy it. But I think there are a lot of these things, a lot of these, I don't know, smoking, stuff like that, that is, it's a consensus that is not good for you. That when you live it naturally, one day you just only say, I'm not going to have a smoke anymore. Okay? Because I think if you force it, it's not what you're intending. I understand you perfectly. It's not through your mind saying, hey, this is not good. The doctor said I should, stop smoking. Then you're forcing it. You still want it. You still some take chewing gum or something. But when it comes to you naturally, it's something beautiful because you don't really miss it. Mm-hmm. You don't really miss it. I don't miss news. I don't miss not watching TV. I don't miss not engaging in the agendas that for some reason they throw at us to get us in fear and in rage. I mean, for me right now, Chris, has become so clear how they want to divide us. Yes. How they want us to look at our differences and not our similarities. And just to make it simple, I say we're all brothers and sisters, but we're really the same thing. It's
Yes.
like you going at war with your hand or something like that, and being upset
Yes.
at your hand or something like that.
Yes,
How
exactly.
silly it is. I mean, and you know, some are very polarized and don't like this kind of discussion that we should all get together. But how beautiful it will be if the energy we spend dividing ourselves, we spend it uniting ourselves.
Oh, it's that's one of those thought experiments, that I do sometimes. Yeah, you just imagine if you took all of the energy and funding and money that we put toward, war and destruction, and you took that and instead used it for creation. I mean, you just like the possibilities are awe-inspiring, and as unlikely as it looks at this moment today, given all the division, that is the future state of the planet. That there will only be people who are service to others oriented, biased in general, so that we understand that it's a world of cooperation for survival, not competition for survival. That when we cooperate, we achieve so much, and we can learn to cooperate, or at minimum coexist. Even if we can't, because I don't believe that the future Earth, the golden age of Earth that I completely believe that we are at the beginning of. We will still have disagreements. We will still have different ways of approaching things, but we will reach a point where collectively we entirely reject war because we see it, and most people on the planet see this already, right? It's a very small percentage of people on the planet that make things really bad for us. And so, we'll reach a point where we just go like, war is just, it's not an option because nobody wins. All we're doing is destroying things. And so, yeah, I mean, that time is certainly coming. And I agree with you about the news and how, and I think, again, this is something that more and more and more people are waking up to and seeing.
Yeah.
How the media is the bias of the media, to varying degrees, depending on the media outlet, how they are biased, and how it is in their interest to make us fearful because it gets eyeballs on things. They get people clicking, if they write stories that divide people, and there are those who, there are politicians who will, all they can do is try to divide people. Their whole message is these people are terrible and I will solve it. And so again, those are, as these things come out, it's not like all this stuff is new. These tactics have been used, for a long time. It's just that it's really, really obvious now. And the more people recognize that the media is not necessarily giving you truth, they're not necessarily giving you factual news. That ends up being a catalyst to turn inward, because you start kind of rejecting, the news, not paying as much attention to it, and the things that you can trust, your inner, you find solace in your inner self. And I mean, and you mentioned it a few minutes ago, where you get to a point where it's like, I don't want to be in fear. I recognize that I've watched this news thing and I walk away from it feeling all afraid, when it's like, well, no, I don't have to feel afraid in my immediate, surroundings. So learning to navigate that stuff is something I think that again, just more and more and more people are waking up to, and understanding, and it's all part of the mass awakening that's happening, that will become more and more visible, as the months go on. And
yes, no, totally. And I believe that when we start looking at things neutrally, because for me it happened in two steps. First of all, I totally rejected the news and I couldn't even see the commercials and stuff like that. And right now, just doesn't have any effect on me. I cannot explain it. I can watch it, but you're not gonna get me afraid, and you're not gonna change my mind. I think a lot of that's happening to a lot of people.
Yes.
They see a newspaper, and sure, I'll read it. Doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
When this machinery, I think, for some reason, well, my theory is that there's this agenda to keep us suppressed, okay? And it has been going on for thousands of years, because what's happening right now, they wanted to push it as much as possible, okay? I think Earth will have changed. I think nature is ready for a long time now. But it's us humans that were the ones that push this elevation of frequency, if you want to call it, this new density, some call it dimension. That's, that we're getting to a point, and I think that's the polarizing part. When you say, well, I'm a human, I'm supposed to be selfish. I'm supposed to not feel any empathy for someone out there in Africa. I'm supposed to be competing with others, and if I win, I win. I'm sorry about the others. That's the way the world is. They polarize because they feel inside them, Chris. They feel inside them something different. So it's making them afraid of what's going on with me. I cannot put it in words. What I'm trying to say is, I think inside them they're changing, but they are submersing in the out there. That the solution is never out there; it's always within.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, they become so afraid and so distracted in fear because of their external world that they're distracted from turning inward. And yeah, there are those who don't want Earth to wake up. There are those who would it would benefit them in a selfish way for everyone to remain asleep. But that's simply not going to happen. And this is the way I understand it. We are the fifth great civilization to rise on the planet, right? This is a cycle, a 26,000 year cycle of the wobble of the Earth's axis. And this is we're at the end of a major cycle, and the major cycle being three of the 26,000 year cycles, so roughly 75,000 years. And within each of those, there were periods where the energies rose up, and the vibration was rising, and those societies their spirituality didn't rise in balance with their technology. And so they began having very high technology, but they were still service to self oriented, and so ultimately destroyed themselves. And even, I mean, and this stuff gets really weird and this is from the Law of One, Material Two. Even before that was happening on Earth, there were civilizations on Mars, same thing, that rose up and then destroyed themselves. And before that, there was a planet Maldek, which was where the asteroid belt is now. And there were societies, civilizations there, again, became very technologically advanced, but were still ultimately service to self. And they literally destroyed the planet. And so, we are, one of the special things about what's happening now is that we will succeed. This version of humanity there's not enough darkness to quash the light. The light will win, is winning, has won. It's just we are now watching it play out, and influencing how it plays out. And again, not that everyone will wake up, but there will be a significant portion. There are more people in the service to others camp than there are in the service to self, and the ones in service to self will just essentially die off, over a period of, however many years, decades, right? I don't know how quickly or slowly this will occur. There are some that say that there will be cataclysms, and so a sudden, thing. I don't know, but I do know, I'm quite confident that the ones in service to self just, gradually leave the planet. And again, you can kind of see them, right? You can see the people who are not doing well with change, not, trying to hold on to old ways, and fighting to, and you see people who are still very aggressive and, in that kind of energy rather than a, compassionate. And the planet, the way the planet's moving, you in order to be in sync with the planet, you need to be in a service to others, mindset, and going with the flow in that direction.
Yes, and as you well said, let's just clarify it again. There's no right or wrong way. I mean, if I stay here and I go to another planet, that's the right way. That the universe doesn't make mistakes. It's gonna put you in the place you need to be. So if you're gonna take the long way, that's perfectly fine. We'll see each other in creation. Anyway, that's what makes me very happy. We're all going to creation.
Yes, yes. And something you mentioned, something you mentioned a little bit earlier, in that, you can go back and, like, after this lifetime in, in this form, I may decide to be a tree for a while, like, it doesn't necessarily, have to be that I go next time to another, thing like this. I can't jump a level, but I could go back and do something just really chill and relaxed for a little while, because that's the experience that I'm looking for at that time.
Yes, and I know how much you've seen the work of Dolores. I know her work a little bit, and I also attached to the idea that she shared of the astral being kind of another dimension in this dimension, and that, for example, you were really tired from your experience, you could choose to take a break in something called the high astral. So basically, it's a similar to the omnipresence, not the same. But you're in a place that you're just picking up your energy to go to the next experience, okay? So it's not an incarnation, it's not something like that. But the beautiful part of the high astral is that you're not subjected to confused beings, like, for example, the low astral. Yeah. And in the low astral is because you choose to be there. And how could you end up in the low astral? You attach to this reality. And then you suddenly die. You are a successful businessman with successful, whatever success, okay? What they say is success in this reality. And you have a lot of money, a lot of power, and then you suddenly die and you don't want to die. You could end up attached to it, wanting to go back to something that doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so you end up in the low astral. For me, just to make it simpler, is this concept of ghosts or concept of entities that they try to manifest in this reality, but they cannot really do it. And the solution there is letting go. It's not having attachments and letting go. And I talk in my channel a lot about preparing to die. And some say, do you want to die? Are you suicidal? No, I want to live. I enjoy my life. I enjoy every day of my life. But you have to understand that death is not like we understand that you are going to go and you have to leave this life behind. So in order not to be attached to this life, live your life every day. Enjoy your relatives, enjoy your friends, fulfill your dreams, do things that you feel passionate about. I know that in this reality, we all need money, and I understand that it's difficult. But for example, let's say you have a job and you hate your job. There are jobs out there. Maybe there's something, maybe you can set up a business. I don't know. But there are possibilities out there. Do something that live your life. Enjoy every moment, every day. And then when it happens, and you're probably just going to live without any attachments. And for me, it's something I explained a few times, because some people are a little bit afraid of ending up in the lower astral, and say, no, you're going to be fine as long as you don't want to make this life eternal. I don't understand when they say they want science to make us live 600 years. You're already eternal. What's going on? I mean, 600 years of what? In this body, you're already eternal. If you live for 60, 80, 100, 120, it's perfectly fine. The thing is to understand, for me, who you really are and where you're really going.
Yes.
So, Chris, we have been going on like for 50, 55 minutes. So do you have anything in closing for us?
No, nothing really in closing. Just to pick up what you were just talking about with attachments. It is so important, to let go of attachments. And for the reasons of you were talking about, like, that, somebody who dies suddenly, who's very material, who's very focused, that doesn't want to let go of this life and gets stuck because they can't let go. But that's the letting go of attachments is also part of the ascension path, right? In order to make to cross the barrier from third density to fourth density, it's like threading a needle, or I think of it as passing through a very fine sieve, right? Imagine your soul energy going through a very, very fine filter, right? And so you can't be carrying anything. If you're holding on to too much stuff, you just won't go through. You can't make it. And so you've got to learn to let go of these things that, of course, at one time in your life would have been very important to you. You know, like there were periods where like my career was so important to me, you know, and I mean, if something happened and I would, you know, lose it, I'd be like devastated because like I identified myself with that, right? And I identified myself with the physical life that I'm lived, you know. And so anyway, I just wanted to point that out about the attachment because it is
No,
so important.
you're totally right. And I believe it also works. Someone once told me a long while ago, a teacher, when you love something, you let it go. Oh, what an amazing sentence. Because it's so difficult, Chris, when a love that passed away, and I understand there's sadness and pain and suffering. I understand that. I don't want to belittle it. They say parent passes away, someone passes away. But in a way, if you stay attached, it's amazing. But I believe also your loved one, if it's still in the astral, is feeling it. Hey, someone wants me back. Okay. And I had a story, I guess, because I'm not sure if I share with you that I have a Spanish channel. It's a different channel completely, and I have the Spanish guests. And I had an amazing guest that she shared that her boyfriend passed away, and he ended up contacting her. She's very sensitive, you know, psychic type. Okay. So he ended up contacting her in her dreams. They will have conversations, and he will say, I'm in this place that I don't know how to live. I cannot continue. But it's because you miss me. It's because you want me back, and I cannot be back. So let me go. And she said it was something incredible that is not through the mind. It's not, okay, I'm going to let you go, but the sadness is still there. She had to truly let him go, and he never contacted her again. Because he's somewhere else. He transcended that. Yeah. So I'm not one to give advice, but when a loved one goes away, love him or her fully, but let him or her go, because they could end up if you miss them too much, wanting to stay in this alternate, this attached reality, which I think the astral is something very attached to this reality. Kind of trying to go back to you. And then I also heard stories that you probably heard as well. They're very common, of lights going on, hearing steps, doors opening. It's the little ways of trying to say, hey, I'm here. I cannot manifestate to you in the body. That's not going to happen. But I can find ways, like the movie Ghost, which I think is accurate in that sense, finding little ways of letting you know, hey, I'm here, I'm here. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing to me that when you understand, and I'm not saying I understand completely, when you discover, let's say that, when you discover our path and how these things, you kind of start figuring out how these things work in your heart, not in your mind. I don't think anything is full of mind. I think everything is in here, okay? When you really, it gives you such a peace, Chris, which I know you and I are. I can, just speaking to you, I can tell. Give you such peace, because then suddenly the fears of this world, like everything on TV and that, and then suddenly they start with medical stuff when you're a certain age, and if you don't check, you're gonna die. I remember a doctor telling me once, like 10 years ago, if you don't do this, you're gonna die in 5 years. Well, I'm still here. Right. So sometimes it's amazing that when you reach a certain age, they start cropping with the fear of death. And for me, it's prepare to die. It's not that we're all going to be afraid, because that's part of this experience, and that's mostly the body. Of course, in the moment of passing, there's going to be fear, yes. But as near that experience say, when you really cross, the fear goes away, and you feel it. That's why a lot of them say, I didn't want to come back. Yeah. I was in a beautiful place. But of course, there's going to be fear. Also, Peter Panagor told me pain, a lot of pain. But yes, it's temporary. It's something the body is crying, I'm dying, because for the body is the end. That's why I shared the body should go back to earth. Comes
Yes.
from earth, goes back to earth. I personally, I have a crazy idea. I want to be thrown into the ocean because I love the sea, and then the ocean could lift me up, my bones and everything. It's a little bit difficult legally and stuff like that, but I do believe this concept we have of the body, and and giving a little bit reverence, just the body, the experience ended.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I agree with you about returning the body to the earth in whatever form. It's not crazy to want to go put your body into the sea. That's that's beautiful, really. And I mean, I have a very different outlook on death. Since I've had my experiences. When people die, there's some sadness, but there's also I see it as like I celebrate their lives. I mean, I'm happy for them. It means that they completed what they came in to do, whatever that was, and they are in a beautiful state. On the other side, they're in a blissful, they're incarnated doing something else. There was I had a friend who he had MS, multiple sclerosis, and so he suffered for a very long time. And I knew from the things I've read and stuff that I mean, I always could tell he was a very old soul. He was a very beautiful, gentle man, and I know that it sounds strange, but old souls will line up to incarnate into a body with a disability because we're infinite beings experiencing limitations, and when you experience like real limitations, that has growth potential like nothing else, right? And so he went out by medically assisted suicide. He finally his body totally deteriorated.
Mhm.
And the day that it happened, I wasn't sure if it was that day or the next day that he had it scheduled. I was on my walk through the ravine I walk in, and while I was walking, I called out to him, verbally, and I said, I asked, Rob, I imagine that you are, beyond joyous now that you are back on the other side, and that you've had immense growth. And as soon as I said that, this incredible wash of tingling went up my left side, and which I took as an unambiguous yes. And so yeah, I see it so differently now that it's not something to mourn. It's a transition to another dimension, another reality.
Yes, it's so difficult, and I try to be over explaining because it could seem like lack of empathy for people that have lost loved ones and friends. But the way I've been invited, especially here in Mexico, to a few shows on reincarnation and that, and there are these kind of live shows that the people are commenting. You've probably seen those or been part of. They are a little bit different than this one, so they're live questions, and they ask the guest in this case. And a lot of my mother passed away. I'm gonna see her again. My father passed away. And I believe we are, but I say don't expect that this life is gonna happen again. It's something different. We're all connected in a way. And yes, I do believe we have celestial, universal, or whatever it's called, families. I'm 1,000% sure I've been many things apart from a human, by the way. And I also believe we all have been. You shared that you have been in different planets. I remember from the last. So I also discovered that kind of things. So we all have family out there in the universe. So we're gonna see each other in some way, somehow.
Yes.
The idea, the attachment, going back to attachment, that hey, I'm gonna see my mother again as my mother, and I'm gonna be her child and the same age, same thing. That I try in a very respectful way to say, maybe you should let that go. And just be peaceful that your mother exists. She's not gone. She's not gone. She's probably in a beautiful place. She's probably experiencing something else. She's probably reincarnated back on Earth. Probably, who knows? But your mother is not gone.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the idea that they are gone, and when I'm gone as well, I'm going to join them. I don't agree with that. I think that's the idea they want to sell us for some reason, and there's a reason behind it. But so I get in trouble sometimes in these live shows because I'm gonna see them again or not. Yes, it's just I cannot tell them, I cannot lie to them that I believe it's gonna be basically your life again. Okay, it's gonna be peaceful that they're in another place. And I also, when they ask and they say, one person was asking about her husband, that there were stuff like that happening, lights going on, he was coming into her dreams, stuff like that. Just speak to him. Go, leave.
Yeah.
I don't need you anymore. I know it sounds awful maybe, but I love you, but you must go.
Yes.
Your place is not here anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're in a transition that is really not helping.
Yes.
I'm not saying they're suffering. I'm just saying it's like they're in a train station and they need to catch a train.
Mhm.
And they're there in the station just waiting to go back to the city, and they cannot go back to the city. They need to catch the train.
Yeah.
So I know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And the letting go of attachments is so important.
Thank you very much, Chris. I really enjoyed same like the first one. And so thank you for being back. And if I would really appreciate if you could recommend me this gentleman you were saying.
Yes.
And if you also know other guests, thank you very much. I really enjoy it. So thank you. I don't have anything more.
Yes. Oh yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's a great chatting with you. I really enjoy it.
Same here. I think, well, in some way, I respect all my guests, and I have chats on so many different subjects. But there are some guests that I feel, first of all, that I can go out there with my things, and with some, like I say in these live shows and stuff like that, I kind of refrain myself. So again, you don't want to bother anyone. You don't want to upset anyone. So, but with you, I just speak freely, and I really enjoy that.
Oh, thank you. They're great conversations. I really enjoy them. And for anybody who's listening, I can be found at purposeofthesoul.com, where I do some writing about this stuff, about the shift that's happening.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. Sorry I didn't mention it.
No.
I include all the information on the video description on the bottom of the video. Just you have to expand it because it's very little space that YouTube shows. But if you expanded all the information to find Chris, you're going to find it there. I'm also going to include the link to your ebook. Remember?
Yes. Thank you.
Same as last time. And again, if for any reason there's something there, you have a question, hey@thealexshow.tv, and I'll be very glad to put you in touch with Chris. Okay. So Thank you, Chris. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for making it to this part of the video. This is my favorite part. This is where I suggest to you that you discover your true self. You are not what you have been groomed to believe. You are this incredible being without limits that has eternal life, amazing strength, infinite wisdom, and a big, beautiful heart. All your limits are always self-imposed. Your best version in this reality is inside you. Your only mission on this life is to become a beacon of love and to serve others. This version is ready to be discovered today. How do you discover your true self? The discovery process is a personal one. No one can do it for you. Dedicate 5 minutes a day to talk to the universe. Simply ask, who am I? Where do I come from? What is my purpose? You will start getting signs, breakthroughs, and signals. You will notice how your notions about this reality start disappearing. No more hierarchies, no more competition, no more complaining, no more depending on others. Discovering your true self equals to real freedom. Your self-imposed limits will fall and you will be ready to understand this reality, but you must be patient to allow others to wake up at their time through their own free will. That will be really soon, you will see, and that will set up a new world. As you work towards your best version, you will notice how all emotions don't serve you anymore. Hate, fear, rage, pride, lust, envy, violence, justice through violence, judgment of others, and other emotions will disappear from your mind and heart. You will understand those emotions serve only your egoic mind and are not you. Please try to be understanding of others that don't think or feel like you. Everyone has a process. No one is right or wrong. We're all just different. Don't be concerned about being right, ever. Don't allow pride preventing you from patching things up with family and friends. It is very important you enjoy this life with your loved ones. Put in the work to patch things up and leave it to others to decide. Thank you very much for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe. If you have any comments or suggestions, please use the comment section below. For private questions, conversations, and if you would like to appear on the show, please email me at hey@thealexshow.tv. Thank you again. Please don't forget to visit our website, www.thealexshow.tv. By giving me your time, you honor me. Have a very, very, very nice day.